Wolf of Fantasy Sports, back with the DFS Wolfpack NBA opening night. This is a recap on some of my lineups, just the thought process and what I was thinking when I put the lineups together. A couple of my subscribers, people on Instagram, Twitter, they asked for a review to go over it with them. I just told them I'd do it in a video. It'd be a lot easier and a lot quicker than typing it all out. So, looking at the $5 main tournament on DraftKings from that night, 10-17 Brick Squad, boo wop. Anyway, looking at when the games was over, I was in seventh place. I got stat corrected twice when it all ended, and about an hour later, I got knocked down to 10th place. So I missed out on a grand on the stat correction just from this contest alone, and then the other ones I missed out on about another grand, which was fine because I was 1 point up at like 10, about 10 grand, and then I got knocked back down to 7. So I mean I was okay with that because going into the night, I'm gonna show you the 351 was one of my GPP lineups. The 340, as you can see, I entered it 3 times. That was my main. I cashed in every lineup that I entered that night, 297 and all the way up. And I played a bunch of them. Not many. So I played 12 lineups in here. Cashed on every one of them. Cashed pretty good. I mean, min cash and then all the way up. So I did well. It seemed to be like a real clear-cut slate of what I was going to do. So I'll go to my main lineup, the 340. I cashed 2,500 in the $12 single entry. I believe it was a 40K. Cashed second place for 2,500. First place was 4 grand. And if you look at this lineup, my main lineup, I went into it, looked at all the pricing and all the players at every position. I just went through it real quick because it was opening night. And I was thinking to myself, well, it's the first big slate. And I was looking, and I mean, Devin Booker, 7,400, great price. Coming off of preseason and all that, people were skeptical. But I mean, 7,400 is Devin Booker. I know the kid's upside. I played him a lot last year. One of my favorite players. He had that explosion game where he went off for like 80 plus or whatever. So I knew the upside of Devin Booker. It's Dallas. It's DSJ. It's Luka Doncic, first game in the league. I mean, I was just thinking to myself, it's Devin Booker at home. Like, you got Ayton now. It's showtime. So I was all about Devin Booker, and it was a late game. I thought he'd have low ownership. He put up 52. He had 14 at the half. I actually went to bed, and I was only up like a couple $100. Put in $112. I was up to like $200-300. I was like, I'll go to bed. I'll get rest. I got to get up early for work, and I get up about 3 in the morning. So I was thinking, okay, I got to go to bed. I can't watch this game. I was just like, I'm probably going to win a couple hundred tonight. Wake up. Left the TV on. So I ended up, getting woken up by the TV and the commercials or whatever because I had the TV up pretty loud. I ended up waking up and I looked at my phone and I'm up like $2,000 on in winnings. And I'm like, damn, how much basketball is left? So I'm like going into the fourth quarter of the Suns game, and there's still a later game after that with the Clippers. So I'm thinking, damn, I might win some money tonight. This is crazy. So my lineup looked pretty good. It just all depended on Booker if he was going to hit a ceiling game. And at 7,400, 52, that's a ceiling for him. He could definitely get more or could have gotten more if he had a better first half. But his second quarter, I believe he put up 14 in the first quarter and then got to 20 by halftime. He put up a couple points. They put him back in with like 2 minutes left before the half, from what I saw on the review and the recap when I went back to the game. But Devin Booker, like, I got to get his jersey. Like, he did it for me. Butler, 6,700, too cheap. People were wondering if his minutes were going to get cut. It's Tibbs. He plays his guys like to the max. Like, if you can play the whole game, he'll play you the whole game. Okay, so when Butler was 6,700, he was just a lock to me. So Booker 7,400. Butler 6,700. Kawhi Leonard 8,100 versus Cleveland. I was worried about the game blowing out. It stayed a lot closer than I thought, and he actually played all the way to the end and only put up a 43, which was unfortunate because if he put up 53, I win 100 grand. So that kind of sucked because last night Kawhi went up against Boston and put up 50 plus. If he did that in this matchup versus Cleveland, I'd be sitting with 100 grand right now because no one had Kawhi Leonard. The 9 players ahead of me when I got 10th place, no one had Kawhi. So that was unfortunate. PJ Tucker on my video. I think 14 people watched my YouTube video that day. I made it on my lunch break. Uh, PJ Tucker, I was telling, that's a lock for me. That's value. That's 3,900. Melo's on the bench. That's value. And I didn't even know Melo was on the bench when I called that out. I found out later, and then I was even more sold on PJ Tucker. Had him in every lineup. That was my 30-point guy. And when I do my GPP builds and my roster construction, I look at it like I need this many points from 2 players. I need this many points from 4 players. I need this many points from 2 players. And that's my strategy. And if you want to know more about that, you can subscribe to me for the month, and I can give you that in coaching on GPP build and what you expect out of players you're putting in your lineups, and then the variance of it, how it'll hurt you. You know, the 50-point guy that you're shooting for could get you 70, and then it'll make up for a guy that gets you 20 that was supposed to get you 30, and that whole process of GPP roster construction and all that. But Aldridge was 7,300, too cheap at home versus Minnesota. Towns not that great of a defender. I thought Aldridge was going to ball. He definitely did. 19% owned. So Tucker was my low owned guy, 8%. The rest had ownership, which didn't matter. I mean, look at this. 23, 21, 28, 19% ownership. All my guys had ownership. Even Marc Gasol, who was 6,600, who I thought had 40-point upside. That was one of my 40-point guys. I was hoping he would get to 40. He had a really bad first half. Had halftime, he had like 8 DraftKings points. He was a big old snowflake. And he ended up getting there, even though it was a blowout game. He ended up getting close to what I expected from him. So he was somewhat of a letdown. Osman was just a no-brainer play for me, 4,200. I saw some upside from this kid last year, and I really thought he could do something. And when I found out that when Nance was out, and when I found out that J.R. Smith was out, I was like, yeah, he's going to see 30-plus minutes, and minutes equal money. Minutes equal opportunity. Minutes equal DraftKings points. So I was with it. Karis LeVert, I got on him because he lit up Detroit a couple days prior to opening night tip-off, and he lit them up in preseason. He lit them up. It was like a 17, 9, and 8 stat line. I was just like, yeah, I'm playing LeVert. Carroll's out, Crab's out. I'm locking in LeVert. So those were like kind of like my mid-range to my value guys and my thought process and throwing them in. And I was like, okay, look, Booker, Butler, Aldridge, and Gasol are underpriced. That's 4 guys that could get me 50-plus. And Kawhi Leonard, 8,100. I mean, look at it. It's underpriced. I was just hoping the game would stay close. And I made this lineup, and I switched out Kawhi. I moved everybody around. Put Tucker at small forward, Aldridge at power forward. I put Gasol at center. And then I mixed up the utility position. I had Donovan Mitchell in 1 instead of Kawhi. And then I had Jokic in 1 instead of Mitchell or Kawhi. And then I replaced the other lineup with another player I can't even think of right now. And I ran it like 3 or 4 times. So I had a really good core. I had all the value plays that I really liked, Tucker and Osman, that I thought were just locks. My mid-range was a little vert, and I thought the rest were studs. I mean, Booker, Butler, Leonard, Aldridge, those are studs. And then Gasol's on a decline a little bit, but I mean, he got that 50-point upside. Indiana, I wasn't scared of the matchup. I thought the game would be a little bit closer with Conley back. And it is what it is. He got me 32, bad first half. So if you look at this lineup, I had it in here 3 times. Got 73rd place on all 3, 200 a pop, right? So if you look here, my main lineup, this was a GPP lineup. Miles Turner was injured. Well, he had a questionable tag on him. He had an ankle injury recently. And I was thinking, okay, so you got Sabonis coming off the bench. If he doesn't do well, you got Kyle O'Quinn, who's probably not in the rotation, but he should see some minutes. If it's a blowout, he could get some minutes. I just wanted 15 minutes out of Kyle O'Quinn. He ended up playing 4 minutes and got 10.25 DraftKings points, and he got 2 fouls in 4 minutes, which was crazy because it was the last 4 minutes of the game. If you look here, he played 4 minutes versus Milwaukee at the end of the game and got 6.8. So every bit of that 10.3 I needed. 2 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And yeah, I needed every bit of it. I really did to cash $2,000 in this lineup, which was cool. I also took down a bunch of Millie Maker tickets and some satellites. I enter a bunch of satellites with, I built like however many lineups. Like there was 4 lineups that I put in a bunch of satellites and whatnot and spread it out. That way I'd win some tickets if a couple of my lineups did good. And that was just my strategy behind it. So I kept Booker, Butler, Tucker, Aldridge, I left out Kawhi. I got to Anthony Davis. I wanted LeVert and Osman, and when I'm looking at the utility spot, I had 3,300 left. Kyle O'Quinn was right there. Turner with the Q tag and the ankle. He only played 20 minutes, but Sabonis killed it. They kept him in there. 30-point blowout, and Kyle O'Quinn plays 4 minutes. If he plays 15 minutes, I might have took down 100 grand in this lineup right here. So it just blows my mind. That's the fantasy gods. They're only going to allow so much. It's out of your hands at that point. But it just blew my mind that Kyle O'Quinn just went to this team. You would think he wanted to go to a team where he was going to get some more playing time. And they're doing exactly what the Knicks did with him. He's not in the rotation. And it's unfortunate because the guy puts up points. He gets in foul trouble here and there. But he's a hustler. When he's on the court, he's doing a lot of everything. Blocks, rebounds, assists. He just hustles to the basketball. That's why I put him in there, because I know his upside. I've seen him in 10, 15 minutes, short amount of time, put up 30-plus DraftKings points. It can happen. And if he did it in this lineup, I needed 10 more points for first place, which was 100 grand on DraftKings. So, that was my whole, I wanted Anthony Davis versus Houston. If you look, Towns versus Houston goes off. Anthony Davis is better than Towns. That was my thought process. I got to get Davis in the lineup. He came in at 15% owned, so out of the bigs or the chalk or whatever, he was one of the lower owned guys. I still got LeVert and Osman, my value guy. Tucker in there with Osman. LeVert, my mid-range, and then I studded up on Davis, Aldridge, Butler, and Booker. And that got me 351.75. I had this lineup in a couple other contests, and it won me some good money. Total, all in all, it was a 7 grand profitable night for me. And when I woke up, I couldn't even go to sleep. I went to work on no sleep. I just couldn't sleep. I was on a money high, and it was awesome. And I stayed up the whole time. After I woke up originally thinking I was just gonna win a couple $100, wake up to DraftKings notification, you won $200-300. I was like, okay, average night. I put in 100, get 300 back, whatever. Well, some nights work out like this. But what helped me here in this lineup, I built the 340 lineup. I built this lineup on my lunch break. I just looked at the prices, and I was hearing things throughout the day like, this guy's cheap, this guy's cheap. And I'm like, what? Like, if they're that cheap, I'm going to build a crazy lineup. So Booker, Butler, Aldridge, Gasol. I was able to get Kawhi at home, debut. Knew he was going to do I was convinced he was going to at least drop 35, 40, even if it was a blowout. Tucker, my value play. Osman, my value play. And LeVert, I wanted that versus Detroit and what he did to him in preseason a few days prior. And that was my first look. I actually sent out my first look lineup that I just put in there to reserve the contest. I liked it so much that I ran it 3 times in here and ran it everywhere else. And what's crazy is, subs were asking me like, hey, what do you think tonight? What do you like? What's going on? Before my write-up came out. And I was just telling them, I'm like, there's a lot of players that are mispriced. Like a lot of good players like Butler, Booker. And then I didn't really have time because when I got home from work, I got to get my article going, all my research throughout the day and everything that I was, all my research added up. I had to put in an article, so I was getting that going, and people are messaging me, and I sent them my lineup just to say like, hey, look at the prices on some of these players. But I didn't mean to actually send them the lineup. I should have just put a couple players in a build and sent them the 4 or 5 players that were mispriced. But I was on the go. I had to send it to them as I was doing stuff. So basically I sent 2 people my lineup to look at, hey, you see these people's prices? This is crazy, man. DraftKings, they it's real easy to build lineups. Nobody played my lineup. Nobody played it. They took a couple plays from it. They looked at it and said, oh, okay, he's on these guys. And they took some of those guys and made their own lineups. So luckily I didn't have to split no money with anybody. Nobody lineup shared or whatever. That's something I'll be more conscious of moving forward, because I don't lineup share and I don't sell lineups. But basketball, NFL is my favorite sports. I tend to do really well during those seasons, and people hit me up all the time. Like, hey, do you sell lineups? Hey, what's your advice? And then they're sending me lineups, check my lineups or review my lineups. I'll happily do all that, but you got to compensate me for it. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to sit here and take time from my research or time from my family to judge your lineups or help you and tell you who I don't like and who I do like and why. If you want that information, the game's to be sold, not to be told. Like, that's just how it works, okay? So no disrespect to anybody that I ignore or whatever. I got a lot of people hitting me up throughout the day, and it's all love. I do what I can, and I tell a lot of people strategy advice and stuff just to help them out. And I like, players that are starting out new, because I can get you up to speed within a couple of weeks. I can get you familiar with all the sites that you need to follow and everything like that, and all the websites where the good info is, where you can do the research yourself and you don't have to depend on a tout or someone on YouTube to tell you who to play for tonight or make you feel comfortable taking a pick. Like, you should feel comfortable picking a guy because you did the research, you figured something out, and then you have an idea and you got a gut feeling, go with it. Like, that's when DFS is fun. It's not when it's like, oh, hey, who do I play? You play him and then you win some money. That's kind of taken away from the game, and DFS touting, that's not my job. That's not my full-time job. This is a passion of mine. This is what I do. This is like my second job in a sense. But, those people that are on YouTube and whatnot, all respect. I respect the hustle on everybody. But they're up there for a reason. If I'm gonna follow somebody, I want to see somebody winning big. Okay, that's something I'm trying to do. I want to see someone qualifying for a live final. And unfortunately, they didn't have no live final contest to win a satellite ticket to it, or a qualifier to win a live final ticket for NBA, because NBA is such a long season and they didn't put out the contest yet. They're working on that. NFL, they put them out right away because it's a short season. So if basketball had live final contest qualifier, I might have qualified. I mean, I got top 10 in a 180,000 entry tournament, and I got second place in one that was like 5,000, and I basically got top 10 in all the ones I was in. So it's unfortunate because that's my real ultimate goal, to win a live final ticket, go to a qualifier, compete against the world's best, especially in basketball, football, my forte. I also do PGA, MMA, MLB. I'm getting better. I'm like, MLB is such a volatile sport, DFS wise. Like, I'll do really good one night, the next night I might miss the min cash line, or I'll just completely, go on two teams that don't do all that well. Maybe I stack them in the games, they're not high scoring. Anything can happen in MLB. It's a real fun sport to play, but it's one of the most volatile sport, and I don't tout MLB. I got other outlets, DFS 5-pack. They do a really good job with MLB. I'll recommend some other upper tier websites and stuff for MLB to, people that are interested in looking for it. And, I try to learn from the best. So when you look at like other outlets like Guru Elite and even Roto Grinders, there's certain people that are a part of those teams that specialize in certain sports, and that's who I try to learn from. So if you look at El Jefe, who won the DraftKings live final, he's one of the good, he's a good follow if you're looking to get better in MLB. Just his game theory and his approach and the way, he constructs his lineups, and, he's a 3 lineup guy or however he does it. You definitely want to learn from that, learn from the best, and that'll better your game. And if you're not willing to learn, you're just willing to get in, put $10 in, and try to get out like 3-4 grand in one night. That's not going to happen like that. You got to put the time in. Even if you're getting service from somebody, you got to put the time in. And all of that it's about is basically you're trying to subscribe to somebody who's going to get you there. So, if you mess with me, I'm going to coach you and get you going and whatnot. If you want, basically I'm just telling you who I'm playing, guys I'm looking at based on the research I discovered throughout the day. So I do I do 30 hours of research a week. I'm constantly listening to podcasts, on the move, always anything fantasy. I got my thumb on everything. I don't miss a beat. So, I mean, it is what it is. Basketball, NFL, that's my specialty. PGA, MMA, that's my go-to. MLB, I play for fun. I love it. I do good sometimes. You got a couple rough nights, whatever, but I always bounce back. And that's the beauty of DFS. You can always learn and get better, improve your game. And that's what I love about MLB, because eventually I'm going to get MLB to the level I got NBA and NFL, So it's only a matter of time. I've only been playing MLB for 2 years, and I almost banked 45 grand my first year playing MLB I was a Matt Adams in my, I think it was first base. I played Abreu over Matt Adams. Abreu put up 18. Matt Adams hit 2 home runs over Strasburg, and Strasburg was chalked that night. And I was playing Matt Adams leading up to that because he was a value play on FanDuel. He was like bare min. So that was a big mistake. I got off him that night. And that happens. I was just one player away from won $1,200 that night, but I was one move away from winning 45 grand. So that's what it comes down to in DFS. That Ayton for the center for Phoenix, Ayton got a rebound at the end of the game. I was winning 10 grand until that rebound. Then I got knocked back down to 7, a little over 7. So it comes down to one rebound sometimes, which is crazy, and that's DFS. And then, you could be sweating out 2 players and you got no exposure to the late game, and those 2 players get in foul trouble and they don't play the fourth quarter. Then you end up winning the 20 grand. That happened to me once, my first sweat. So anything's possible in DFS. You can always get better. When you're looking at these lineups, looking at pricing, player pricing, look on FanDuel too. Even if you don't play on FanDuel, Kyle O'Quinn was $28 on Yahoo. Osman was $10 on Yahoo. Who's the better play? It was Osman, $10, bare min on Yahoo. When I saw that Kyle O'Quinn was 28, that even made me want to play him more, especially in a GPP, because I'm thinking, what do they know that I don't know? Like, why is he $28? Is he going to play for Turner, who's got that little ankle Q tag? And man, if he would have got his 15, 20 minutes, in 4 minutes, he put up 10. Do the math. He would have put up 30 if you gave him 12, in a sense, right? Just thinking about it. So that's my thought process. That's how I got on this lineup. If you look at the other ones, like I said, I subbed out Donovan Mitchell in utility. He had a bad first half, a real bad first half. He got to 34. This lineup cashed $60 through 326 place in a $5 main donkey tournament. Like, that's pretty damn good. And if I entered anything high dollar, I believe like $100 GPP was 50 grand to first. The top score was like 297. I would have smashed it by 40, 50 points on any of these lineups. All these lineups would have won it except for my last one out of 12 lineups that I made. So that's, sometimes you got to put your money out there. Scare money don't make money. And that's another thing too. You don't know when your night's going to hit. But when it does, you wish you had it in more spots. And that's kind of my situation, because 11 out of 12 lineups would have took down any high dollar tournament I would have entered. Those are the breaks of DFS. Some nights you go all in. You dump 400, maybe a grand into DFS that night, and your pitcher gets taken out of the game or shelled, gets hit in the elbow with the ball, hit by whatever. Like, your night's done, and you just lost however much money you put in. Anything's possible. My guy could get in foul trouble. One time, Clint Capella got in foul trouble in the second quarter, and I was like 5 points away from winning 50 grand. It happens. Like, those are the breaks of DFS. So let me look at this other lineup I put in twice. Jokic. Put that Jokic lineup in there twice. He got me more than Donovan Mitchell. But I switched things up here. I took Lin. Wanted exposure to him in a couple, and I just did some other stuff in that lineup. That only cashed $15. This one cashed 40. Let's see what this is. Oladipo. Threw Oladipo in there, right? Blowout game. Yeah, the Mitchell, Oladipo, and Jokic I switched around. But anyways, that's just my mindset on lineup construction and all that, and what got me to that core for the night. The PJ Tucker, the Osman, and the studs. I fit 5 studs in a lineup. I mean, Gasol's a borderline stud. He's probably on his decline. I fit 4 studs, a borderline stud, 1 mid-range player, and 2 guys that I thought they could give me 30, and Tucker and Osman. They smashed. Tucker got me to 29. Osman smashed. And that's just it. That was the lineup construction. I made the 340 lineup on my lunch break. I made this lineup on my lunch break. Showed it to 2 people to get their thoughts. People that were asking me questions. One of the dudes was asking me questions, and I just said, here, look, this is my idea. This is where I'm leaning towards going. And then my one friend, I let him see it too, just to see, like, just to show him what you could do. So that's all it was. Hit me up at DFS Wolfpack on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to subscribe, just hit me up. DM, let me know what you're looking for, coaching or Player pools. I drop a player pool on NFL each week. I drop it at different times because it's free and I can do whatever I want. And I'm not telling you, hey, like my page, hey, share my page. I really don't care. I'm just up here because I do DFS daily and I'm kind of showing like an inside look of a daily grinder. I grind every day, almost every sport. I don't do tennis or any of that weird shit. But NFL, NBA, MLB, MMA, PGA. If you're looking for advertising, once my shows get some views, you want your product or what your service advertised, let me know. I could do advertising. If you're looking for a logo, I got one of the best logos out there for DFS, hands down. I got one of the best logo designers. I can hook you up with them. You got to pay me that finder's fee though. Uh, and instant results too. Within 2 days, you get your logo. So whatever idea you got, like I'm a creative individual. I told my logo designer exactly everything by detail, what I wanted, and then he put it out there for me. And then I told him what to tweak, what to change, and I got a killer logo. So if you're looking for a logo, any of that, hit me up direct. And it doesn't have to be for DFS. It could be a logo for uh, my one friend. He does Halloween costumes. So I hit him up. I said, hey, take care of my friend. He's looking to do a Halloween business. Killer logo with some pumpkins and a like a haunted house in the back with the bats up top. Like, trust me, I could definitely hook you up if you're looking for a logo. If you're looking for video effects and designs and all that stuff, I got the person. If you're looking for instrumentals, I got a beat producer went to school with back in the day. You know, rock music. Hit him up at rock music. If you're looking for lyrics, somebody to drop some knowledge on one of your songs or whatever, let me know. I got somebody else. Don Brown got his album coming out. No genre. Check him out. And just hit me up at DFS Wolfpack, Twitter, Instagram, dfswolfpack.com for the player pool and the results and all that other stuff. And just get at me. I'm out here. One.